Hey, this is Eternal King here, bringing you another LOR video today. So I wanted to evaluate an interesting deck in Eternal, because again, a lot of my last video I talked about meta decks, I talked about ways to successfully beat meta decks, so I wanted to provide a real-life example. So this is the Grapplr deck, Braum Nora. Uh, he used it to basically climb to top 100 of Eternal Ladder. And I want to kind of identify some of the things that I think are good about it and why he might have done very well in the competitive scene of LOR, specifically the Eternal format, making him, probably with that success rate and that climb, with an off-meta deck, one of the best Eternal players in LOR. People like to meme on Grapplr and Standard say he's not a very good player. The reality is he likes to play slower decks, and he is in fact a fantastic player, one of the best players in Eternal. So in this instance, talking about the things that are good about this deck, we have a lot of chump units for Nora, which is, similar to how I would build the deck. Concologist, the Draw unit, Junk Construct, and then Nora himself, and the three Pokies. All of that is normal, and then Avaros and Sentry. Whether you build this in Shadow Isles or you build this in Freljord, you're going to run, it's the same card essentially. One Troll Chant. Again, this is mostly, I think, a consideration for keeping Nora alive. I wonder if you would drop Troll Chant now for the new card that was printed, and the list just hasn't been updated yet, but I think in a lot of cases you would probably run the one... yeah, there you would run the better burst, which is Sky Splitter. So I think you would run the one Sky Splitter now for Nora. Tavern Keeper is a 3 of, so again, great anti-aggro tech. The whole idea of the card just healing your Nexus. So like all of a sudden Ziggs Poppy. Kindly Tavern Keeper should trade very well into all of that as a 3 of. And it should also do exceptionally well into a Zero Relia. With all the chump units and the healing and like, so those are two matchups you just get to like kind of automatically win with this deck. Not even talking about the spells or anything like that, but literally just like all of these junky units clogging up the board. Same with Team Maker as well. Aloof Travelers as well. So like all of this is junk. 3 Braums is going to be a real death knell for a Zero Relia, because like I said, most Zero Relia decks don't actually run the bounce. And if they don't run the bounce, then Braum auto levels off of Zero Relia. He will also auto level off of Ziggs Poppy. So again, those are two major meta decks in Eternal that by running, Braum Nora, essentially a deck that is all just units designed to sponge up damage and trade on board with smaller units, you will do exceptionally well. Aloof Travelers, again, being a ramp consideration, so, ramp can't go over your head too quickly. One counter spell, usually one signpost is standard as well. 3 Portapalooza standard. Spirits Unleashed is going to give your board a little more oomph in most cases. It gives the one attack to Braum, but then it also makes all of your units that come out of the portals a little bit bigger. Hidden Pathways, it's just more draw. Mini Morph, this is really a Nasus thing. So again, now we're targeting 3 major meta decks. So we have a Zero Relia, Ziggs Poppy, and then Thresh Nasus. So Mini Morph is your Nasus tech. And that's why that's there. Which is, again, probably the third most popular deck is Thresh Nasus, and Mini Morph is the best response because it can't be countered. Otherwise, the spell is not amazing. But again, it'll deal with big overwhelm units too, or big elusive units. So again, a lot of those like nasty keywords, it'll deal with that. And then 2 Burden Ice. Burden Ice in this case is used to swing for lethal after you've already created a full board with your Nora value and your Braum value. And that's how you win. So you just Burden Ice and swing, and that's how you win. Currently, the deck is sitting at something like 47% win rate, I believe, on Runeterra AR. So like, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that this is an amazing deck. What it is the case of a brewer, a popular brewer and streamer, coming up with a unique and novel solution for a well-known meta situation, which is the same thing that I tell all of you to do. And it just goes to show that by finding that right brew, that, again, beats aggro, beats rally, and again beats Thresh Nasus. It just, that by itself was good enough. to win into a lot of situations. Not as good now, because now that we have more cards printed and more decks that people are trying out, this isn't going to be as finely tuned to deal with as many things. And that's why we see the win rate dropping sub 50% when before it was basically hovering at 50%. But it was never an amazing deck to begin with. But what you had was an amazing player who knew what he was doing and understood how to play Eternal in a slower way to reach top 100 with an off-meta deck. So again, be like Grapplr. You know, evaluate the meta decks, figure out how fragile they are, figure out their weaknesses, and capitalize. And do so with your own brew and your own solution, and you can reach top 100 masters in Eternal as well, which to me is more valuable than doing, you know, well with a top percentage standard deck. This is Eternal King signing out.